everyone. Today we will be unboxing another figurine for the week. Here we have is a figure from the manufacturer's Q6. Is a 1/7 scale PVC figure of the character Tōru, stylized in a bikini style, from the series Kobayashi-san no Maid Dragon, or Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. As always, before we take the figurine out of its packaging, just in case you didn't know, Kobayashi-san no Maid Dragon, or Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, is a manga series serialized in Futabasha's monthly action in 2013 by the mangaka Kyoushinsha, who's also worked on other series like Furu Mapura in 2015, Komori-san wa Kotowarenai in 2012, Chi in 2013, and others. The series does contain a couple of spin-off mangas, but just to save up on time, I'll just show you a couple pictures here on the back. The series has an anime adaptation with the same name, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, aired in 2017, consisting of 13 episodes, and a sequel called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, aired in 2021, consisting of 12 episodes, both animated by Studios Kyoto Animations, or KyoAni for short. There are a couple of specials called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Valentine Soshite Onsen Amari Kitai Shinaide Kudasai in 2017, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Special in 2017, Maid S Nippon no Omotonashi Atendo wa Dragon desu in 2022, Mini Dora in 2021, and Mini Dora SP in 2021, all by Studios Kyoto Animations. There's also a movie, Samishigaria no Ryu, or A Lonely Dragon Wants to Be Loved, in 2025, by Studios Kyoto Animations. So here we have is Tōru, the second figure in their Q6 line. There are two versions, there's a regular and a tan version, but here we have is the regular version. This is the box, rotating in 360, so without holding you guys back, let's just take Tōru out of her packaging and see how she looks. So here we have is Tōru straight out of her packaging, and we can see here that she does come well packaged in the box. After removing this small plastic covering, we can see the figurine in its entirety. We can also see that it's also covered with a bit of protective plastic. We can see the extra face sculpt located on the side of the figurine, and moving down we can see the base, which is located at the bottom, with the assembly instruction sheet taped onto it. So not really much else to show you, so let's just remove all this excess plastic and see how the figurine looks up close. So here we have is the figurine's assembly or handling instructions guide. It does come folded in a plastic sleeve, but after unfolding it we can see that it is only one-sided. So looking at the main front of the sheet, all the text in the page is only in Japanese, which makes sense because it is a Japanese product. But the figurine here isn't too difficult or complex to follow, so looking at each step in order, you should be able to follow it without any worry. The little symbol of the blow dryer there usually indicates a way of making it easier to remove or insert each piece, since heating the plastic will allow you to make it a little bit more easier to flex the material. Just be careful not to heat it or overheat it too long, or flexing the piece out of shape to avoid messing it up. Top of the sheet here does have a bit of extra info, being careful or handling the figurine with caution, text on the top. But with that being said, there's not really much else to show you with this instructions guide, so you can pause the video in any portion of this segment and read it for yourselves, but we will be moving on to the Figurines Base. So here we have is the Figurines Base, but before we take a look at it, just like we see with other figurines, there is information for the figurine at the bottom of the base. And here we do see is a little bit of info, but as we can see here, it's just the mangaka's name. and I think that's about it. But we do see here there's not really anything too special to see here at the bottom. Maybe the little protrusion of the insert here in the middle, but going on to the top of the base, kind of the same. There isn't really too much else to show you. Well, I mean, it does have a really nice white color, not necessarily painted on, but made out of a like white plastic mold, like we see with figurines that have black bases, but this is white. There is this little metallic peg here that in the middle where you do insert the figurine, or where you do insert into Tōru's foot to keep her standing or propped up. So again, nothing really much to show you with this Figurines Base, so it's quite simplistic, not really anything too, you know, over the top. So let's just place this down and move on to the actual figurine sculpt. Here we have is Tōru's figurine. And just like we do with every other figure, let's take a closer look of it, starting from her feet area. And they did a really nice job here on her foot. Me personally, not a feet person, because I do know there's some people out there that are into that, but the overall sculpt work of it looks really good. She does have a visible insert hole here at the bottom of her sole of her left foot, which is where you insert the peg. And going around, we do see here she doesn't really have both feet flat, but rather one a slight tilted upwards in a tilted posture. Her right leg is in a tippy toe position, almost in a cute or alluring stance, since she's supposed to be at the beach or maybe at home, I don't know. But we can see here that her toes are painted in a glossy-ish, sparkly pink paint, showing that she does have toenails. But I did notice here on her right foot, one of the pinky toenails are painted a little bit off-center. It kind of blends with the other toes. Nothing really, you know, that ruins overall the figurine, but maybe a manufacturing error. Disclaimer, maybe just on mine. But moving up here, we do see the rest of the figurine. The legs are slim and has a very smooth texture and looks very nice. The credited sculptor is Carved Models, so far everything has been really nice. Here we have is her thighs and her bottom wear. Since she's supposed to be at the beach setting, she's wearing a two-piece bikini. And the frills look very nice, and you do see the way they sculpted it kind of gives off a swaying motion, as though it is like kind of moving slightly towards the right. A little bit difficult to see since it's a really small part of the figure, but we do see that the bikini has a striped colored pattern, a light red and a darker red color with a bit of white on it. And we can see that the bikini is quite tight on her, where we do see the fabric being pressed up against her, showing a bit of a line, you can say. Here on her thighs aren't touching, and moving my finger on the back section of it, we can see there is actually a little bit of a gap between her legs, so she isn't as thick like the other Q6 figurine of Lucoa. But so moving on, we can see the detailed body sculpt, and they did a pretty nice job on the stomach area. The way that her body, you know, piece presses up against her waist kind of gives it a little bit of texture here on the stomach section, which looks really nice. And as you can see, whereas the light as it's hitting it, you can do see the little detail of the figurine looks a little bit more present. And towards the top, we do see the bottom of her bosom area, which is quite large. This is her side, where we can see that how her top of her bikini is quite tight on her as well, just like we have with her little second piece on the bottom. And the strings seem like they're almost close to almost breaking. The paintwork on her back looks great as well. The shaded areas shows the sculpt back quite nicely. These areas like the spine and the backbones indent gives off the figurine a great amount of detail. We can also see her arm sculpt is in a neutral position, where she does have this little pink armband around her arm. But going down, we do see here she does have her hand, or should I say her fingernails, painted in a little glossy, glittery pink paint, just like her feet, while her hand is in a little curled, closed position. And, you know, it's a pretty nice little touch, kind of matching with both the feet and the hand, which looks really nice as well. But moving back up to the figurine, we do see here, there's not really too much else to show you rather than just, you know, the armband that she has on her arm, which kind of matches with her bikini top. Her back looks really, you know, they did a really nice job on their back. Here on the other side, again, we have is a closer look of her bikini top, and we can see that it looks quite tight on her, showing that her bosom is almost squeezed, or her top is like really pressed up against her front portion of it. We do see here she does have a little bit of nipples poking out of it, giving off an additional detail that I think some people will appreciate, not just me. But here we have is the top view of her breast, or should I say her bosom area, which is quite large. It's being held up by this plastic string or strap around her neck. The bikini top string is flexible, but I advise don't really be flexing it like I'm showing you guys here. But the string here, it can be flexed if you would like to. Again, this does feel like a really delicate spot, so I advise don't really be like touching that area so you can avoid breaking it. But going around the figurine following the strap, we can see here that her arm is actually positioned here on an upwards position, while also having a little bit of a glossy pinkish paint and also a pink armband around her, matching her right arm, or should I say her left arm that's in a neutral position, also having an armband. And you can see that her hands being rested up behind her. And going down, we do see she has a little bit of her armpit here showing. Going up to her facial sculpt. So here we have is Tōru's face sculpt. And we can see here that they did give her a little bit of a cute expression with an open mouth. And you can see a little small teeth on the side. Here is her right side profile of her face, where you can kind of see a visible nose structure, which is kind of a little bit difficult to see when you're facing in the front. And here we have is her other side profile here, where again you can kind of see the visible nose. But going back to the figurine's face, we do see here that she does have a really nice detailed face. She does have long bangs, and you do see she does have eyebrows underneath. A little bit too hard to see because of her front bangs, but she does have noticeable eyebrows underneath. But here, taking a closer look of her hair sculpt, which looks really detailed. They did give her hair, or should I say her hair does have all these extra lines going around it, giving a little bit of a detailed look, which looks really nice. And here on the top of her hair, she does have her iconic twin tails that flow around her sides. But be careful, since her hair, or should I say those twin tail portions of her hair, get really close to the figurines, and we can see following towards the bottom, it does get really close to some of her body or her hand there, which you could get some of this paint or this reddish paint kind of like smudging the side of the figurine. So when you are handling it, do be careful to avoid, grabbing it from her hair. You want to avoid chipping or breaking those pieces. That's the one thing that I would advise, don't really be handling in that area. But we do see here the coloring looks really nice with a little bit of red at the bottom all the way to the blonde section of the top portion of her head. But I think the overall hair sculpt looks really nice. So here on the top of her head, she has her iconic dragon horns, and we can see here with the additional Maid headband, which is a little bit weird because I think they're supposed to be at the beach and she's still wearing her Maid headband, but I guess it kind of does make sense because she's supposed to represent that she's a maid, or Kobayashi's maid. But besides that, I think the detail work here on the headband looks really nice as well, and the additional horns looks really nice. Again, they could have added her tail, but I guess they did it. They need to show a little bit more of Tōru, I guess. But that being said, I think that's going to be the entirety of the figurine. There's nothing really as much to show you. I think they did an excellent job on the figurine, from her hair to her body. I think the overall sculpture looks really nice and it looks really beautiful. Again, not too much else to show you, so let's just place this figurine on her base and complete the figurine. Here is the extra face sculpt you do get with the figurine, and it does come with a quite unique expression. Here on the sides, we do see here that she does have ears, which I forgot to mention that her other faceplate also has ears, but I think because of her long hair or her front bangs kind of covering it, we don't really get a visual of it. So we can see here that this faceplate, we can kind of see the ears a lot more than what we see when it's on the figurine. But going back up to the front here, I really liking this expression. A little bit different from what we normally see with other figurines, having like a neutral smile. Here we have is kind of like an annoyed or tired face, which looks really unique. And just like the other Q6 figurine of Lucoa, she does have an extra face sculpt, but rather than having a winking eye, they gave Tōru this, kind of annoyed expression. like she's looking at Kobayashi and she's kind of ignoring her and she's getting annoyed by it kind of face, you know? And I'm actually really liking this face, so let's just add it to the figurine. So first you do have to remove this arm sculpt here, where this portion of it gets removed, and then you will be able to access, or should I say remove the head. But just be careful because her twin tails are kind of long and you want to kind of avoid hitting the figurine. But after you remove it, you do remove the front bangs like this, and then you're able to access the facial sculpt here. Remove this plate and then follow the steps backwards and to assemble it together, and you should be able to complete the assembly of, or should I say the swap out of the face sculpt. So before we end off the video, here we have is the other Q6 figurine. Is a 1/7 scale figurine of the character Lucoa, also in her bikini outfit, and which is going to be the companion piece for Tōru. And yes, Lucoa also has a tan version. Again, I did not unbox that, but you could purchase that if you would like to. And we could see that they look quite nice together, and they also both have interchangeable faces. Obviously Lucoa's are going to be a little bit more thicker and wider than Tōru, and we can also see that her bikini compared to Tōru's is a little bit more of a glossy finish and is quite more shinier or brighter compared to the matte finish they gave with Tōru's bikini. Not saying one is better than the other, I think they both look really nice and have different, you know, obviously just pointing out there's a bit of differences. Personally, I love Lucoa's design, but I think they both look overall great. But so with that being said, that should be everything that I wanted to show you guys. Alright, so that's going to be the end of this one. This was Q6 1/7 scale PVC figure of the character Tōru, Bikini Style version, from the series Kobayashi-san no Meid Dragon, or Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Overall, a very beautiful piece. Nothing really too negative to say about it. Paintwork is good, shading around the figurine is excellent. Love seeing the stomach and the back being really detailed. Besides the pinky toenail being a little bit off center, I feel like they could have maybe fixed that in the production of it. Again, this could be just my figurine, but besides that, I think the overall figurine looks really good. They also could have added her dragon tail. We normally see it in the show, but for some reason figurine companies don't really add her tail. They normally add it in her maid outfit, but I would like to see one when she's wearing like something like this where we see the tail on her. I think this is a really well done figurine from Q6. It's been a long while since we've seen the continuation of this line. We have is also Lucoa, which I showed you guys earlier, and now we have is Tōru. I wonder if they'll be continuing the fit with the other characters. I wonder if they'll make an Elmo or an Ililu version of them wearing swimsuits. Honestly, I wonder if they'll make Fafnir maybe in like a beach shorts. I would like to see Kobayashi in a bikini. But regardless, we have to wait and see. So if you have not watched the series, well, it is a very popular series and very well known, but if you haven't, I would recommend it for anyone interested in these characters. In any case, I don't want to keep holding you guys back, so as always support the original creators for said series that we unbox. Thank you guys for coming to the channel and supporting it. I really do appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. It's a fun show, quite popular too if you haven't noticed.